Hi, in this video I'm gonna be finishing my Python script for fixing hierarchical material files used in DAZ Studio. If you did not watch the previous parts, I recommend watching those first because you might get lost in this one. In this part I will show you how I did create backup files, create the save functions, test the script, set up a StreamDeck shortcut, replace tkinter with Win32 clipboard, the f-string notation, clean up with norm path, and use AI to improve the code. We are in the finishing round, look what's left. Only our save functions. These are really simple, trust me. But there's one more thing. Before I apply the script to my precious folders, I want to create a backup, just like I did manually before developing the script. I can reinstall the product though, but it's more convenient to just copy back the folder in case my script messed up. My to-do list refines as follows. First, back up the file. Second, check if the backup worked. And third, save the file. I create a new function called backup_file and define a constant where my backup folder should be. I call it HMC_backup so I know that it was created by my script. It's a subfolder of my materials folder, therefore I get the path by joining the constant and the directory name of the file I'm about to change. If I do not yet have a backup folder, I create it. As for the name of the backup file, I go for the same name it has in the original folder. That way I can simply copy all files back without renaming, in case something went wrong. If the backup file does not exist, I copy it to the backup folder using the copy file function in the SH utils module. I only copy if I don't have a backup already because I don't want to overwrite my backup with an already changed file. Because file copy could go wrong, I need an exception handling. In that case, the function returns false and my main loop would skip overwriting the original. If I created a backup or it was already there, I return true. In my main loop, I call the backup function and skip by continuing the next file in case it failed. I create a function for saving the materials file, which will then call the respective save function depending on my compression flag. Like I have two separate load functions for compressed and uncompressed files, I also create two separate save functions. I set the encoding to UTF-8 and take note of a little detail since the original file had indentations with tabs. The JSON dump method converts our Python structure to a JSON string and writes it into a file. It also offers a configurable indentation. My files had tabs, so I add tabs again. The JSON module can't write compressed files directly, but it can return a string without writing it to a file. I'm creating this string and also convert it to the correct encoding in a separate step. But as soon as I use the variable to write the file, the linter complains as the red wavy underline tells me. It doesn't like the bytes data type the encoder returns. I tried to fix it by opening the files in binary mode, but no, that didn't work out either. So I took the last resort by telling the linter to ignore the type in this line of code. Yeah, that's ugly I know, but at least it works. The last thing, I add the function call to the main loop and print an error if the save function could not write the file. Finally, it's time to try it out. I use the method with entering the path to the folder the materials files are in. It worked through the folder's content and processed the files. Since I tried it many times already, it did not replace the backup anymore. But it did change and overwrite the materials files in the specified material folder. The backup folder is there. Didn't screen capture my check, but believe me, the files are in there. The previously compressed files are obviously still compressed. But do they work? Let's try, shall we? Didn't work with this one, but that's because the files do not refer to a parent anymore. So if something in the parent's hierarchy is selected, the file is not applicable. But if I select the hair item itself, it changes the hair color even though it originally was made for a different figure generation. And yes, it works for all the files in that folder. I also check if they still work for Genesis 9 figures. Yes, they still do. Because I'm very lazy, I do not even want to type in the command for starting my script, and so I create a shortcut for my StreamDeck. I load my DAZ Studio profile and decide it's best to put the launcher under Utilities. Everything you see here is custom and manually set up, even the icons. I drag the launch action into the intended path and paste the previously copied folder location where my script is. Because Python scripts must be started via the interpreter, I add the Py shortcut before the path. Give it a name and set the title to top aligned. The path needs an icon, and to draw one I use Affinity Designer, but also Draw.io would do the trick if you're looking for a free alternative, or even Adobe's Illustrator if you wanna get ripped off. In Affinity Designer, I can simply copy selected elements to the clipboard. The clipboard content I insert to IRFM view, which I use to save it as PNG. Sometimes the transfer to the clipboard does not work as intended and the image needs some cropping. IRFM view can also do that. I save it in my enormous collection of custom StreamDeck icons and launch the management software again. And there, I only have to select the file. After that, I check if it's working in the real world, and it does. Another test, modifying a different product using the StreamDeck shortcut. Select the Hierarchical Materials file, put the link into the clipboard, press the shortcut on the StreamDeck, and after a second the Python script does its business. Try a different product with more different files in the folder. The script worked here as well. I can see my backup folder. It's actually two because this product uses two different folders for the material files. In this case, I did start the script twice, providing those different locations. However, not everything went totally smooth. There is one pesky little detail which makes me go back revising my code. If you open a command line window like I did with StreamDeck, it closes automatically after the script was executed. Since that way all the script's output would get lost without me having the chance to read it, I added a code which prevents the window from closing by waiting on a key press. In Python, the input function waits for the user to finish a keyboard entry by pressing return. This works in principle, but since I decided to use tkinter, I got myself in a mess. You see, tkinter is designed for the creation of GUI, graphical user interfaces, and by instancing the tk class, I created a new user interface, basically a window. If I stop my script in this place waiting for an input, I can see it. It even has tk as default name. Now I could handle this by automatically closing the window, but that feels like a dirty workaround for me. Better not use tkinter at all, even it started out being so easy. Instead I go for Win32 clipboard. However, it's not so simple to use like tkinter. It expects a format string, and there are a lot of different ones defined in the Win32 clipboard class. Which one shall I take? I opt for Unicode text. After all, we are on a Windows system, aren't we? Opening a Win32 clipboard demands for closing it at the end. For my console outputs, I'm using Python's f-string notation. If I start the definition of a string with an f, I can use a variable in curly brackets inside the string's quote marks. This is also called string interpolation, supported in different ways by many programming languages and makes the code better readable. Because the clipboard content did not undergo tkinter's cozy treatment, I must clean it differently. NormPath will remove unwanted characters and make it Windows conforming. Only the left backslash I must take care of with lstrip. And that's all there is to it. I exchanged the way we access the clipboard. One last improvement I want to show you. Our two write functions do not have any error handling. If something bad happens, the script would simply fail and not finish the loop. So let's fix this, but as I've already told you, I'm very lazy, and therefore I let AI do all the work. I select the code needing the improvement and paste it with some nice words to the Bing Copilot. Yeah, no Microsoft fanboy, but that's what I'm familiar with. The following two functions potentially throw an exception. I want to handle those by catching the most likely errors and return false in that case, as well as write in information to the console. Please make a proposal. The last sentence is useless, I know, but I don't want GPT to make me an impolite person. Then my code follows. After I hit submit, the Copilot comes up with a proposal that's not bad at first glance. It put the relevant code in try and except blocks, and it also found out that my code potentially could throw a JSON decode error and an I/O error. However, to print out the error message, it used Python's logging module. This is not really wrong, but I didn't ask for it, and it would require an additional import. So yeah, you have to take the output with a grain of salt, but overall, I'm impressed. I asked it not to use the logging module and proposed using a print. It made my corrections to my liking, also realized that then there is no need to import the logging module anymore. I select Copilot's two functions and copy them over the two functions in my code. And that's it. I just let AI create code for my script. I wanted to show you this alternative because AI is about to heavily affect our lives, and it makes no sense to ignore it. While there's certainly a menacing threat brewing behind closed doors we must fear and tame, we should also enjoy the good sides of AI and use it as a tool to improve our knowledge, our productivity, the quality of our work. Use it as an inspiring sparring partner without giving up our own ideas, our own creativity, our identity. In that sense, I can only encourage you to make your own experiences with programming. Python or a different language, it does not matter. With the help of AI or without, it does not matter, as long as you're making progress. I hope you found these 4 videos useful, and see you in the next one.